Hi, my name is Colton, and I did my presentation on Paul of Tarsus. He was actually a biblical leader and was originally named Saul. He tormented and persecuted Christians. However, in Acts chapter 9 of the Bible, it says that God appeared to him on the road to Damascus, and this changed his life, and he is now called Paul. After this transformation, he definitely lived the life of Christianity and went from city to city and preached about Jesus in the Gospels. He actually wrote 13 different books of the New Testament of the Bible, which include Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, and many more. And he brought people to his religion through these writings and through this traveling that he did. He was persecuted and thrown in jail for his beliefs, and he was eventually beheaded for his beliefs. There are 5 practices to exemplary leaders, and the first one is model the way. This is leading others by being the example and showing people how to live their lives. Paul definitely did this. He definitely was a model for people to follow. He kind of told them how they should live their lives, but he also lived the life himself. In 1 Corinthians, it talks about how Paul says that he thinks that people should restrain from sexual acts and actually be unmarried. But he doesn't do this without doing it himself. He set those standards for his followers, so he did so himself, so he definitely modeled the way. He also inspired a shared vision. A vision is an ideal future, and he wanted everyone to come to Christ. That was his vision. And as you can see, there are many things that make a vision what it is. They are appropriate for the time. They help people with enthusiasm and help people become and stay committed. They are ambitious, and Paul definitely had all of these different aspects whenever it came to his vision. He really wanted people to know God, and he was just very optimistic about this vision. He also challenged the process, the third practice. Um, he went against what he had known up until that point. Whenever he was faced with God on the road to Damascus, it was definitely a change in heart, a change in his life, but he challenged that process. And he actually challenged the process of communication. He traveled himself from place to place. He really got to know the people that he met, and he met them in small groups and then expected them to use what they learned to go out and teach other people. So that was kind of a new way of communication. In some areas, Christianity wasn't there, so he had to preach to even those people. It was definitely not easy. And as people know nowadays, trying to persuade people of your beliefs while they have their own can be very difficult, but he definitely challenged the process. He also enabled others to act. Enable means to allow or help them. He taught them what they needed to know, and for example, he wrote the books of the Bible, or part of the New Testament. And he didn't only write that for the present people, but he also wrote it for people in the future that would also need it. So, and these Gospels definitely helped them understand themselves better, but also helped them know how to teach others what they needed to help others with. So he really gave them the resources that they needed to succeed. The last one is encourage the heart. He really, or encouraging the heart is showing the appreciation and praise for accomplishments that people have. He really got encouragement through the emphasis that he put on Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection. That is a huge encouragement, but he also used that to encourage other people and help them stand for what they stand for, help them feel secure about what they're standing for. And he really tried to point out what they did good in his letters and in his books that he wrote. One theory that I think he did really good on is Theory Y. Theory Y has 3 assumptions, as we know. People like to work, people are self-motivated, and people accept and seek responsibility. I really think that Paul thought that people wanted to be better, people wanted a change in their life to live a happier life, and he wrote those books to be a guiding tool so that they would be able to succeed in this. And a huge part of Christianity is believing that people want better in their life and want responsibility for their actions, and I think Paul is a prime example of that theory. Why? Based off the DISC assessment, I really believe that Paul was a D or a dominance. Dominant people usually are daring, direct, persistent, self-starters. Um, he definitely was daring and a self-starter as far as traveling and meeting new people and sharing the gospel, and he was persistent in making sure people got that information. He was forward-looking in his writings so that we could have those today, and he set really high standards. Some of the standards that Christianity follows and that he believed needed to be done were pretty high, but he set those standards and expected people to follow them. So he kind of had that dominant personality type. As far as the Myers-Briggs assessment, I feel like he was an introverted, intuitive thinker and perceiver. Um, I feel like he was introverted because he spent so much time in prayer and bettering himself and writing those books. I feel like he was intuitive because he saw the big picture and was futuristic. He was planning ahead. I feel like he was a thinker um, because he just thought through what needed to be done. He wasn't spur of the moment type person. And he was a perceiver because he did whatever needed to be done at that moment. While he was a planner, he did do what needed to be done in that moment, which was always different. So, in conclusion, we can see that Paul was a great Christian leader. He set examples and had a clear vision, had the personality to bring people in, truly believed in people, and did what needed to be done, no matter the challenge. I think he's a great example to live by and a great historical leader to follow. And here are my conclusions.